In this video, I want to talk to you about what's probably one of my favorite techniques to fish, like one of my favorite in the world. And right now is the time to be fishing this technique, kind of in that pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn time frame, and that is the floating worm technique. This is by far one of the most fun ways to go out there and not only catch a lot of bass, but also catch some really big bass. And in today's video, I want to talk to you about when to throw it, where to throw it, and how to throw it. So let's dive on in. Now this video is brought to you by my apparel company, Fin Fishing. Guys, I have USA made sun shirts, I have hats with a wooden bass patch, I have gloves, I have all kinds of different products. And right now, if you buy one of my USA made sun shirts, you can actually get a free 100% free Fin Fishing rod glove. All you got to do is add the shirt that you like to cart, add the rod glove that you like to cart. It will automatically discount at checkout. It is the best way to help support this channel. All right, let's talk about the floating worm technique. Now, for some of you guys, you may have watched Bass Fishing HQ over the last couple of years, and I've actually done a couple of videos on this particular technique because of how much I love it. And so you may know a lot of the stuff that I'm about to tell you, but for those of you that may be new or may not be familiar with this particular technique, it's actually a really, really old school technique. This is something that a lot of guys used to do back in the day, and we've kind of gotten away from it, or you don't see it as much as you used to anymore, but it is still a very effective way at catching bass when they are in shallow water. And that's exactly the first thing that I want to talk about, which is when to throw this. And that is really anytime the bass are up shallow. You know, when I throw a floating worm, I am throwing usually a pink or a methylate color. There's a lot of different colors that you can throw, but it seems like to me when you have a lot of fish up in shallow water, and this is typically during that pre-spawn, kind of right before the bass go up on beds, even while they're on beds, and then shortly after they are on beds, that kind of couple of month window, this technique is so good. It is so good. And the best thing about it is that because so many people don't throw this anymore, a lot of times you can go behind guys and catch fish that they are not able to catch. I did this a number of years ago when I really started fishing this technique a lot down on Lake Norman in North Carolina. And I fished a tournament. It was right around the spawn, and a lot of guys I saw them going down the bank with top waters or flipping jigs and whatnot. I went right behind these guys and was able to catch a lot of fish behind them. And that's one of the big things about this technique, is that it's a very subtle technique. It's very subtle, and it's just something that the fish don't see a lot. Now let's talk about where to throw it. This, like I just said, is a technique that I throw when bass are in shallow water. So I am fishing this a lot of times around a ton of shallow cover. Any kind of cover or anything that I think a bass is relating to when they move up shallow. This could be, it could just be the bank. It could be, stumps and laydowns. This could be grass of some sort. This could be docks of some sort. This could just be a rock, bank. It could be a little bit of anything, and the thing that I challenge you to do is just throw it everywhere. You will kind of pick up on different places where these bass are staging as they are kind of around the spawn, and you will find patterns. Maybe it's, for example, down on Lake Norman, it was all to do with the shade. I've seen this, I've seen where a floating worm does well without shade and where it needs to have shade to really produce a lot of fish. Now on Lake Norman, the water was a little bit cleaner, and anywhere I had a little bit of rock bank with some shade on it, man, that was a dynamite place to catch a bass. I would get right parallel to that bank, cast down it, and I would catch a ton of fish. But the big thing is I am throwing this at visible cover that I can see with my own eyes. And if you are a pond fisherman, this is a banger when it comes to a pond fishing technique. Now let's actually talk about how to fish this, because there's a number of different ways that you can fish it. One of the things that I prefer to do is I like to fish this a lot in that pre-spawn to spawn phase, like we talked about. In that phase where the bass are kind of just moving up shallow, I like to fish a floating worm a lot slower in the water column. I like to fish it very slow. So a lot of times when I rig up this bait, I will just rig it up like a wacky rig. I will take a Zoom trick worm in bubblegum color a lot of times. I'm gonna wacky rig that thing. And that's all it is. I fish it on typically 15-pound braid to a 12-pound fluorocarbon leader. I don't always think that you need to have fluorocarbon. If I'm being 100% honest with you, when it comes to this technique, you might just be able to get away with straight braid. I still like to use fluorocarbon for the stretch and for the casting kind of component that I just like the way it responds, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain. But anyways, that is kind of my setup for this technique. Now, with a floating worm, you are fishing it just below the surface. Unlike a more traditional wacky rig where I'm gonna cast this bait out, I'm gonna let it just kind of sink down. I'm actually always able to see the worm as I'm working it. So the worm itself actually doesn't float. I'm not sure why they came up with the name, the floating worm technique. It doesn't really float, although I'm sure you could use floating worms. But you cast that bait out, you're gonna let it get just a little bit below the surface, about a foot, maybe 2 foot at most below the surface. Again, I always wanna see that worm, and I'm gonna pop that bait 3 or 4 times just below the surface, and then bam, I'm just gonna let that thing sink real quick. And then I'll pop it 3, 4, 5, 6 times. I like to really aggressively pop it, but then let it kind of just float there, because I think the popping is what attracts a bass. They see it because it's so bright colored, they see it from a distance, they're attracted to it, but then as it is floating, that is 100% of the time when they are gonna bite it. When it basically, you kill it and it just slowly sinks down, bam, they will come up there and nail that thing. Now, that is how I throw it a lot in that kind of pre-spawn to spawn phase. And even when fish are on beds, you will see them still react to this bait. You might not always catch the fish, but sometimes if you want to locate beds, you can actually find them with this technique. Now, after the spawn, when these fish are a lot more post-spawn, I found that a lot faster way of working this bait actually works a little bit better. Now, it's a little bit harder to keep a floating worm down on a wacky rig. So at this point, a lot of times is when I'm going to Texas style. I'm gonna Texpose a hook. So I will use more of a traditional kind of EWG, not an EWG. I like to use just an offset worm hook. You could use an EWG if you like EWGs. I like the offset worm hook. I typically put a little kink in that worm, and as I work this bait in the post spawn, I work it a lot faster. I work it a lot more like a traditional soft jerk bait. I'm gonna cast this bait out, work it just below the surface. It's darting, it's going all over the place, and that seems to be the best when working it during the post spawn. Now, does that mean that's the only way to do it? No, not at all. You can always go out there and experiment. And you know, when you're fishing the wacky rig, you obviously have an exposed hook. I can fish that bait around pretty heavy cover and still get that bait to come through what I want it to, just because I've been doing it for so long now. But you know, if you're fishing that bait around heavy cover, you might just want to rig it up Texas style to begin with, to be able to get it to come through without hanging up. So guys, this is truly a phenomenal technique. It is so much fun. To me, it is just below topwater fishing. You guys know that I love topwaters. They are my absolute favorite thing to do, and this is, man, it is very close. Here's topwaters, here is floating worms. As long as I'm catching bass, I'm also really happy. So anyways, guys, I did a little bit more in-depth, video of this over on Bass Fishing HQ. I will leave it linked right here if you guys want to check that out. Also, don't forget to check out the fin fishing gear. Again, it's the best way to help support this channel. I will see you guys in the next video. Well, I will see you tomorrow.